Okay, welcome back. Time now for our next keynote with Usman Shuja, Chief Executive Officer and Chief Division Officer at Bluebeam. We are talking from blueprints to bots, the state of AI and the built world. Hi Usman, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No, very, very welcome indeed. The show has been absolutely flying along. We've covered a huge amount over the last few hours, but the virtual floor is yours and we'll be back with some questions at the end.
Excellent. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm so excited to share a slightly different perspective from some of the other presenters. It's about artificial intelligence in the built world. We spend a lot of our time in the built world. So a little bit about Bluebeam. Bluebeam is an industry standard for collaboration within construction and in oil and gas industry. And most of the general contractors and architects use Bluebeam for collaboration and to mark up and make changes to their plans. So that's where the original Bluebeam came from. In terms of what I wanted to start off with, taking the journey of the construction industry to an adoption of technology, but starting with some of the pain points. Construction is one of the least digitized industries, and there are reasons for that. One of the big reasons is that it has the value chain, which is very complex, and it has very different incentives by projects. So sometimes investors and owners will invest and they will continue to outsource to architects and developers and general contractors and subcontractors and specialty contractors and trades. And it just goes very deep and long. And each project has different incentives for the party down. And that really makes it very hard to collaborate, and also the level of sophistication as you go down in the value chain changes, and you can only be as strong as your weakest link, and that's where construction has some challenges, because somebody in the value chain might be not as digitally savvy or might not have the right incentives to adopt technology. But the good news is things are changing. And because the market drivers are dictating that. There is so much waste in the construction industry, which is a double-digit trillion-dollar industry globally, and the waste and inefficiencies are just enormous. And that is a driving factor, because digitization, AI, and sustainability trends and lack of labor are some of the big trends that are driving all of the value chain to adopt technology and AI. So just a few numbers: about 11% of the field labor costs are wasted due to poor planning. And digital tools can really help improve that. And digital tools have been doing that. And there's significant gain in efficiency. But with AI, and these tools can even make it reduce this margin by a significant number. And given the sheer size of the industry, 1 to 2% improvement makes a big dent in the economy. So there's a case for adopting technology. There's a case for adopting AI, and there's a good setup. And that's what really excites me about the AEC, the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. So how is AI doing in construction, right? The global market for artificial intelligence is about to reach 13.5 billion. The general AI market size is growing at 35% CAGR. The induction of ChatGPT has really simplified how the perception of artificial intelligence, and make it look easy for the people to adopt it. And I think that has been a tipping point where the adoption of AI in AEC, the construction industry, has taken a positive trend. So I'm extremely optimistic and see very early signs of good good progress and adoption of AI, and the level of investment going into the industry is significantly high, and that's a reason to be optimistic as well. As I mentioned, Bluebeam is an industry standard for collaboration and markups, looking at drawings, and we have a very large user base. And earlier this year, we surveyed a lot of our users and customers to understand how they are thinking about 2025 technology trends, as well as their adoption of artificial intelligence. So I wanted to share a few insights and data points that might be interesting to some of you who are not familiar with the industry itself. So nearly half surveyed are investing in 11 to 25% of the IT budget towards AI. This is significantly high compared to a few years ago. And that, again, is a sign of very positive adoption or willingness to adopt as well. About 50% reported they have successful sustainability efforts, and they plan to invest more in sustainability and AI over the next 5 years. The 32 cited lack of training and technical skills. And that I've been in the physical industry AI for the last 10, 11 years. And this is a very common feedback that I received when I was evangelizing artificial intelligence 10, 11 years ago in oil and gas and energy and in aerospace and manufacturing, along with change management, are usually the reasons why some of the AI projects fail. So not surprised to see that people feel that they don't have the right training and the technical skills to overcome the adoption. Change management, again, stays as the number one reason why some of the pilots fail for deployment. So I think the biggest takeaway from the survey, there's a lot of information, and you can read the whole thing from on the Bluebeam website. But there is eagerness and willingness to accelerate investment in emerging technology, especially AI. And that is very good news, not just for the industry, but also for the environment and for everybody involved in the ecosystem, because construction and buildings impact pretty much everybody in the world. So what are the opportunities in construction with artificial intelligence? There are so many use cases that I'm very excited to share with you that can really impact the outcomes, financial outcomes, and the occupancy outcome, and the environment that the construction workers are working in, and eventually the environment. So when you look at the whole life cycle of a building, it starts with designing, architectural design, then comes the structural engineering, maybe some of the trade like MEP design, then it actually gets constructed. So there's also a pre-construction and then construction. Then eventually the building gets transferred to an operator, such as the CBREs or the Cushman and the JLLs of the world. And then eventually at the end of the life cycle, it gets decommissioned. So if you look at the whole life cycle, there are a lot of opportunities to automate, to find efficiencies, to improve collaboration, to reduce the demand of energy. And a couple of them I wanted to highlight were the drawing automation. With generative AI, there's immense amount of capabilities to automatically create drawings and designs at scale that can be to the specifications of what you're looking for. And that's, although it's not used in commercial deployment yet, but there's a lot of potential we see. We have a sister brand that does animation and 3D drawings for the media industry, and we are seeing that artificial intelligence is making a severe dent in that space. The other one that I wanted to pick up is the HVAC system optimization or predictive maintenance for equipment. With artificial intelligence, machine learning models, that has been my background. I was with Honeywell prior to joining Bluebeam, and the amount of data an HVAC can generate, it gives you the insights, can give you the insights to not only optimize the energy solutions, but also predict when they are going to fail or when they need service. And that can reduce trips, truck rolls to buildings. It can reduce actual man or woman labor going into the buildings. And that's it helps with sustainability of, but also with being predictive and avoiding any damages. So that's a very common use case that's already been deployed by at scale around the globe. So a few of them are listed here, but there are a lot of opportunity to use data and machine learning models to make an impact here. Moving on, innovation and sustainability in design with, I think this is a theme that Bluebeam is really focused on, and Bluebeam's parent company, Nemetschek, which is a German software company, and sustainability is a bigger market force in Europe than it is in today in the US. So there's a lot of regulations that are driving that, and the industry is looking up to software providers to innovate and find sustainable solutions, and that's something that we are seeing themes across the industry, themes across the universities. It allows us to prototype design, optimize, maximize space, and the utilization of it through data-driven insights. And that's something that I'm actually quite excited about, and see how this field continues to evolve and how the new use cases would emerge. Digital twin is another technology which is not new to the industry, which is not new to other industries. Digital twins have been around, but the evolution of digital twins is happening from static models to dynamic models, from data models to visual models, and the ability to take data from multiple sources and build a digital footprint that covers design through operation, through demolition, is something that gives you the underlying data capabilities to make smart decisions throughout the life cycle. There's still a lot of improvement that needs to happen into scalable commercial digital twins for the AEC world, and the adoption is still fairly low. But I see the digital twins can really make a big difference from handover from one party to another, especially after construction into an operate mode, and be the single system of truth for data across all life cycle. Cloud-based AI, there's a significant interest from architects, engineers, and contractors across the value chain to adopt this, and this is now becoming table stakes. So as the cloud adoption goes up, there are some concerns about sustainability, but I understand and share that all Microsoft, AWS, and Google are trying very hard to minimize the carbon footprint, and that's something that's always a topic of contention. But I feel the benefits outweigh the negatives in this case as well. Facility management, once the building is made, built and constructed, it's handed over to the operator, right? And I mentioned one case about HVAC, but you could also take AI-driven analytics to improve the occupant experience, how people interact with the buildings, how you make the space more intelligent, how do you reduce the demand for energy and optimize the the energy usage, either through HVAC or lighting, or while not impacting the occupant experience, is a difficult problem, but has been solved and is being deployed at scale by several buildings management software companies as well. So, look, we talked about AI and the adoption of AI, and that's happening, and that will continue to happen, and that is not limited to the construction industry. I think this is the adoption is going to happen. That there's enough money, enough momentum in the market that AI adoption will continue to accelerate, and this is going to be a phenomena, if not bigger, but as big as the internet. So that poses a question of how do we regulate and manage and control if artificial intelligence? And I've been studying AI for a while, and the ethics and the trust element of it. I'm a big advocate of investing in the ethics element of artificial intelligence, because it's for two reasons. One, it's going to make decisions. It's going to take decisions that humans used to take, or some of the decisions that humans used to take. And also it's playing with the data. It has the susceptibility to go wrong and can be used for wrong reasons. And that's why it's important to have the right foundation to build artificial intelligence, and it needs to be a global framework. So what does ethical and trustworthy AI means? And these are the 6 commitments that Nemetschek, the Bluebeam's parent company, has made. But this is based on the EU framework or the White House executive order that came out. So it's based on that. But we are making a commitment on sustainability and society, making sure we're accountable for, and there's governance for the data. Our systems and algorithms are robust and reliable, and there's transparency and explainability. When algorithms make a decision or part of the decision, then we should be able to explain how did that algorithm come to that conclusion, or what type of data was leveraged to train the system, and what are some of the gaps or potential gaps and fallacies in the training methodology. We take data privacy and security very, very seriously, and all vendors should. Look, we can talk about different frameworks, what it needs to happen, but I think there are some fundamentals that must happen, and these are some of them. And you can come up with a more sophisticated framework. However, I think the big thing here is when we look at social media or the internet, governments never regulated social media. And what that did, it put the burden of regulation on the end user. So social media, regulations provided complete immunity to the tech providers. So Google, Facebook, all of these companies have no responsibility if something goes wrong. And that, I think, with AI cannot happen. So it has to be a shared responsibility between the end users. Yes, they are responsible because they're using it. There is some responsibility. They need to play a role. Governments and nonprofits have to also play a significant role. We cannot leave everything for the market to decide in this case, because the stakes are very high. And then the tech providers have to take significant responsibility in this case. If there is an accident, for example, because of the software used, we need to know what happened. We cannot give complete immunity. We cannot let tech providers do whatever they want with the data. So there has to be a three-way push and pull in order to get to the desired outcome that we're looking for, if you want to get the most out of artificial intelligence for our society and for for our financial benefits as well. So, so wanted to end on a positive note that that governments across the world, whether it's EU, US, China, India, major players are making a big effort to put that foundation, and that is a major step forward. I think it will take some time, but there is awareness across the globe that we need to do it and commit to this and deliver something that's not only exciting but extremely beneficial for our society as well. So I'll stop here on that note and open up for questions.
Usman, thank you so much. Really enjoyed your presentation. Very quickly, because we are right up on time before we go into our final panel. What I'd love to hear from you is a story. Really, you're talking about the compression of work and the improvement in the ability for people to be creative by compressing that work. What are some of the best examples you've seen of that? Because when you actually see that kind of thing in the built world, in the real world, that's when you truly realise the potential of this kind of technology.
Really good question. And look, I think AI also has to be practical. It doesn't have to be all fancy and all automation. So a great example of Bluebeam, for example, uses multiple drawings, and as a designer or a project manager on a construction firm has to spend significant amount of time aligning different plans, and that could take a few minutes to do so. And using artificial intelligence, we can do that in a second. It shaves off 3 minutes worth of work. That might not sound like a significant effort. However, over the last year, we have saved more than 10 million minutes within the last 6 months alone from the industry. So while this is a very simple 3-minute saving, it really makes the job easier for the construction worker. So it makes them more efficient and capable and faster. Then, so that's one example. So very simple. Then there's a lot of good examples in automation and construction that robots are being used to do some of the work, and the workers are still doing some of the finishing touches because robots cannot do some of the use cases that are tail end use cases. So again, I think I encourage people to look at some little use cases that can really add to productivity versus trying to automate the whole construction site. That we are very far from that. So let's look at some minor use cases as the one I just explained.
That's a fantastic example. And as you say, it can be very easy to focus too much on the bigger picture when sometimes it is those small details, those small percentages that ultimately make a huge difference in the real world. Usman, thank you so much for joining us here. Really enjoyed your presentation and your company. Thanks for joining us here at Tech and AI Live New York.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
You're very welcome. Absolute pleasure.